Hey, this is the biggest piece of media information to come out of Philadelphia in years. This is huge news.
This is the type of thing that gets people elected captain.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, baby, you got to come see what Chris Long and Beau Allen are doing on the pod this week. They got their titties out.
No, you got your titties out. I'm just doing traps.
Sprinting over to the
rolled up this morning. The boys were shirtless during the production meeting. Let's just keep this thing going. Cowboy Reed and Matt took their shirts off.
Nips out for the boys.
I've been pushing for a shirtless pod for years now, Chris.
This is a training camp staple. We're only from now on during training camp, we do shirtless pods.
Let's go.
All right.
This is just our soft segue into OnlyFans content.
The soft segue into OnlyFans. We got DJ Moore today. I got DJ Moore today. I'm going to interview him in a couple minutes. But before then, Beau and I are going to run through some NFL news and tell you whether it's news or not news. But one of Beau's former teammates just got paid.
Yeah, Chris, my boy Tristan Wirfs got a $140.63 million contract extension down in Tampa Bay. This is big news, man. I think the Bucs have done a really good job of retaining a lot of their talent. Started earlier in the offseason with guys like Baker Mayfield. They got Levante back, who is criminally underrated, in my opinion. Excellent football player, great guy. They got Mike Evans back. You know, I saw my former teammate Gerald McCoy was down in Tampa for camp or fucking whatever, and he was interviewing Mike. You know, Mike was seriously looking at other places until his wife kind of told him to stay in Tampa Bay. So good shit, Mrs. Evans. But now they got Tristan locked up too. So I think this is great, man. The Bucs have done a really good job of keeping core elements of their team. They had a fucking good team last year, I think.
Antoine Winfield re-signed as well.
Yeah, they got Winfield too, who's a great player from the great state of Minnesota. You know, I didn't think the Bucs were going to be any good last year, and they had a very good season. You know, went pretty far into the playoffs, ended up losing to Detroit, and they're retaining a lot of key elements of that team. So I think they'll be, you know, they're kind of on track to have a pretty successful season. I don't know. What do you think, Chris?
Wirfs has always struck me as like a 90s tackle. He's just got that kind of size and width and the way he can float in his set. Like he's a prototypical left tackle, and he's getting paid like one. No surprise to me. I was a little bit surprised at how well they played last year. I mean, I was open about that, even though once the year got going, I jumped on the bandwagon. And I think, you know, Baker towards the end of last year, I think the narrative came back down to earth a little bit. And I mean that in a positive way, where like when he left Cleveland, people were like, oh, he's cooked. And I don't know if that was ever the case. You know, injuries matter. And sometimes you need a fresh start. And it's so fortunate for him that he ended up in LA, where McVay kind of got him up off the mat, dusted him off, and he went to Tampa and had a great year last year. So, you know, I can remember them getting ready to play Jacksonville towards the end of the season last year, and the narratives around Trevor Lawrence are completely different. What's the difference in what these guys have done in the NFL? I think Baker Mayfield gives his team a chance to win. We really like Baker, and that's a really good roster, you know, to Beau's point. So they'll be right back in the thick of this thing this year, and it's nice to have the big fella locked up.
Yes, and I want to say one thing about Tristan Wirfs before we move on. So I actually never was with him, you know, in the locker room, because he was drafted by the Bucs when I signed with New England. But I remember there's this field that we all go to in Tampa where we train, and we'd all kind of go there, especially because this was in 2020 when you weren't allowed to be at the facility. So we all kind of got our workouts from the program, and we went. And I remember just seeing him from across the field and watching him move for literally 30 seconds, being like, this motherfucker is going to be an unbelievable football player. Like he has that kind of frame. He carries it like that. He moves that well. And he's a fucking great guy too. Like he works his ass off. He's a fucking monster. And I think he deserves every little bit of this contract. So shout out to Tristan. Good shit, fam.
There's another group that needs a little recognition after this signing. So he's now one of the highest paid offensive players in the NFL, And he came from Iowa. So I think all the Iowa offensive hate needs to stop. I think it's ridiculous now.
But they haven't been able to figure out how to convert all that into points.
Just give the ball to guys like Tristan Wirfs. Easy.
That's right.
Guaranteed 6 right there.
All they need to do.
Hey, Beau, you remember what you said a moment ago that it took you like 30 seconds to realize he'd be great? That was like me when you cut on the microphone at this podcast.
Yeah, just a singular tube of light shining down on my face. And then you really
that's your only fan stat. You want to get into news or not news? I'll start it off. Is the top 100 news, Beau? When you hear it every year, is it news?
Fuck no, dude. The top 100 is certainly not news. It is, it feels like propaganda to me.
Is it fake news?
It's fake news. It is not news.
I think it's more fake news than it is news. I'll say this because, like, having been in locker rooms when they come in and they're like, "Hi, do you have 10 minutes?" And you're like, "Not really. I got to shower and get to meetings." And they're like, "Well, it'll only take 1 minute because we're only going to ask you to fill out like 10 to 12. We'll do the rest."
Yeah. That's
kind of the way it goes. I'm not saying some guys, like 1 or 2 guys in a locker room. You know who used to probably do this? 1 through 100 was like Mac Hollins and Nate Sudfeld. They probably used to go to like the corner of the locker room, fill out the whole thing. It looks fun, and they got nothing to do. Well, Mac's got to go to meetings, but like the backup QBs might fill this thing out.
The long snappers,
the kickers. I don't know who's got the time to fill out 100. If somebody did, let us know. But I can only remember filling out 10 at a time. And I'd be like the only guy in my row of lockers who wasn't like, "Yeah, fuck off, I'm going to lunch."
Dude, I remember literally getting this form, Chris, and looking around the cafeteria and being like, "Oh yeah, Mike Evans." You know what I mean? "Oh yeah, Lavonte." Like, "Oh yeah," like, and then I'd put on like guys who absolutely didn't deserve to be on there, like Chris Long. You know?
Thanks, appreciate it. Number 82 in 2011, Beau. Hey, let me ask you a question. Do you pay more attention when you fill out paperwork at the doctor's office or when you fill out this paperwork?
A doctor's office, 100%.
Now, listen, I'm not. I mean, a lot of these players in the top 100 certainly deserve to be there, and if they don't, who cares? That still means they're fringe top 100 players in maybe the most competitive sport in America. Okay, like so, I got it. Like, this is not inaccurate that these players aren't great players. It's just the ordering of some of them can make no sense.
Yeah.
You know,
like, this what AI is for? Like, haven't we evolved to a point where like AI should be able to make a good top 100 list? Like, certainly better than all these CTE riddled brains in the locker room.
Oh, come on, Beau.
Fill this shit out when you're in like
that's the guy podcasting with his shirt off.
Hey, people that live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, Chris. All right,
especially if one stone will fucking that could be the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak.
Some stones for you right here, brother.
Yeah. No, here's the thing. It reminds me of like Pro Bowl voting too, which we always talk about around Pro Bowl time. But like, do you remember when they used to have us vote for the Pro Bowl and it'd be like the end of the longest day? Yeah. You know, it'd be like guys are just waiting to get out of the building and the D-line coach is like, "Yeah, we'll do this at the end of when we watch our 2 hours of the same clips over and over again." So like it'll be 6:50 p.m. Guys are ready to get home and they're like, "All right, now we got to do Pro Bowl voting." I don't even think, did we used to vote on the O lineman or the D lineman? I think we voted on the O lineman.
We voted on the O lineman. And but then it's like, dude, the Pro Bowl voting has changed so much too. Now you got people like fucking campaigning for it on social media and you have a fan vote and stuff like that.
I'm so proud I never did that.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly should have.
I should have too. After watching some of my friends and people that I like actually think are like, you know, I don't think they're like bad people at all. Like, I was like, man, that's some cringy shit if I ever do that. But I've watched a lot of guys do it. But here's the problem. When they get in there with the forms, it's literally like, hurry up, let's fill this out. It's one guy. It's usually like one vet being like, call some people out. Yeah. And if people knew that, I think it would probably, you know, poke a little bit of a hole in the legitimacy of some of this stuff. But let's get to the players.
I mentioned this dude earlier. I fucking talk about him nonstop. I love him as a player. I love him as a person. For whatever reason, he has been criminally underrated for his entire career. I think he's one of the best linebackers in the NFL. I think he's a fucking future Hall of Famer. Lavonte David is number 99, and that bothers me. Like, I don't know why I always have a bone to pick about people who like don't give Levante the love that he deserves, but like that's one that stood out to me immediately. And then 98, Cam Hayward, like a fucking one of the absolute biggest NFL, like he's been a menace.
But did not play well last year.
Did not play well last year.
So that's what complicates this list a little bit. Like Aaron Rodgers on the list.
But hey, speaking of not playing well last year, fucking Derrick Henry is like number 40. What's he at? He's 49.
Did he he ended up with some numbers though last year. It just felt like they didn't use him a lot, but when they used him, he still looked like Derrick Henry.
And I mean, there's obviously an aura of fear around a guy like Derrick Henry, which is why like when you're, when we're filling out these forms, like top 100 players, like who's the motherfucker that you're scared of? Oh, Derrick Henry. He's like looming in your.
I'm still putting Marshawn Lynch on that list. Exactly. I don't even know if he's still playing, but that motherfucker's got to be one of the best 100. How long after his career do you think Marshawn Lynch is still one of the best 100 football players on the planet? I'm going like 5-7 years.
Yeah.
He could have walked out of that
like 2030, bro.
he could have hopped out of that, stumbled out of that charge, or had 2.5 wheels on the curb a couple years ago. Remember when he got trouble, and probably rushed for 100 yards.
Yeah.
So listen, here's one that jumps out for me, and I don't know. Predictably, I'm very upset about this, and this proves that this list is null and void to me. Is L'Jarius Sneed's not on the list?
Yeah.
Like didn't he? I'm like looking for.
It hasn't been released yet, Chris.
And maybe he needs to be on the list, and maybe people's forecasting of the top 10 is wrong because they've kind of got it penciled in like 1 through 10. And I don't have a lot of arguments with the people in that top 10. But if L'Jarius Sneed's on the list, you're smoking crack. Trey Hendrickson, who I think is criminally underrated.
Yeah.
He's 77. There's only one reason he's 77.
What is that reason, Chris? Why don't you tell it say it loud and proud for the people in the back, brother?
I can't quite. I'll give you a hint. There's a lot of it on this podcast. All right. So Trey is 77. Okay. And I'm going to listen. I think Hutch is a fucking baller, but you're telling me he's 30 places better than Trey? I think Trey is better than Hutch. I think Trey's better than Bradley Chubb. No offense to Bradley Chubb. Bradley Chubb's 62. Bradley Chubb ahead of Danielle Hunter, who had like 16.5 last year. Like Hunter's threatening that sack record every year at some point. Like if he ends up with a 4 or 5 sack game one of these years, he might break it. Matt Stafford is 42. Brock Purdy is 28. Tua is 36. No disrespect to any of the cats I just mentioned, but Matt Stafford's better than those two football players and has been for a long time and was last year. Okay, so put Matt Stafford where he needs to be. Why is Lane Johnson – you're telling me Tua's a better football player than Lane Johnson? Because isn't this what we're doing? You're telling me Lane's the 41st best player in the league? You're telling me Garrett Wilson's only the 72nd best player in the league?
How do you feel about Nick Bosa at 27?
Nick Bosa is a dominant player. It's going to be hard for me to argue with Nick Bosa.
I try to think of those guys all to me are guys that like are game wreckers. You know what I mean? Like, when you get the scouting report during the week and you're getting ready and you have like all the arbitrary numbers, it's like a 5. This guy's a 5.7. And then you have a guy like Aaron Donald who like literally is a game wrecker. Like you need to know where he is on every single play.
You need to know where Nick Bosa is. He's going to be right there in the same spot. The only thing about Nick Bosa is like how much of the meeting can you take up talking about the other 5 guys too? Because there's like a bunch of guys on that defense. So I just look at a guy like Trey Hendrickson or Danielle Hunter, and I'm like, what do these guys got to do?
Yeah.
And
I'm happy to see Dexter Lawrence at 24. Sexy
How
Dexy,
about that?
man. Yeah.
How about that?
Because I was kind of looking through this, and I'm like, I feel like my gut's telling me that interior offensive and defensive linemen are going to be underrepresented on this list.
Yeah.
I scrolled all the way to the front, and like I said, I mean, they still have 10 spots to release, but Dexter Lawrence, 24. He's a fucking great nose guard, man.
If you're going to put guys on here who barely played last year, and I'm not talking about Dexter, I'm going back to something else, then a guy like Stewart in Indy, who missed 6 games for a PED deal. He's, in my opinion, one of the best 100 players in the league. I could go on and on about guys that didn't make the list, but the bottom line is just the ordering that's tough. And hey, I get it. NFL, you got to have programming around this thing. Fans like it, but just so the fans know, the players do vote on it. but I can count on one hand the people I've seen fill this list out past 20.
Seriously. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Nobody.
This is in the Patriots training camp. Drake Maye and Joe Milton apparently out of training camp. Joe Milton is out playing Drake Maye. Is this news or not news?
All right, so I'm going to say it's not news, but not because I don't think Joe Milton could be a good football player or Drake Maye. It's fucking July. When this news came out, it was
August
July.
1st, Chris.
And today it's August 1st, but when this report come out, wise ass.
I love this rap.
Go ahead, say it. Just say it. July.
Yeah, all right. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Okay. So it's July when this news comes out. And I look at it like this. Fans hear things, right? But they don't know who's playing against who, right? And I'm not a Drake Maye apologist. I don't even know if this kid's going to be good. I don't have a guy I'm in love with in this draft class. Last time I checked. But Drake Maye and Joe Milton are playing different people. They're, the team periods are often split by like, hey, you're going to go against the ones, you're going to go against the twos or the threes, depending on Jacoby Brissett's involvement, the whole thing. So when you hear this stuff on the surface, yeah, for one, these two guys might be playing different groups of football players on a regular basis in camp. They might have different people around them. Like what I heard specifically out of camp is that Drake Maye's having trouble with the center. So that's causing issues. And Keon White, who I love Keon White and will be on that bullshit list we talked about a second ago next year. He's going to be very good. Has been wrecking practice, supposedly. And Joe's going against a different group on defense. And the truth is, like, I can remember being a rookie and being neck and neck with other defensive ends who were undrafted the first couple weeks of camp. Like, I'm watching them make plays, and truth of the matter is, as camp goes on, better players separate. As the years go on, better players separate. And I just think it's early. I think it's too early to do this, like, this one throw in practice thing. We're JJ McCarthy thing, which you brought up earlier, and I tweeted about it yesterday, was, people are saying, oh, JJ's struggling. It's fucking July, first off. Second off, he's playing the Vikings defense, headed by Brian Flores, who last year we talked about that defense like the league hadn't seen some of the coverages they were running behind certain fronts. And now you've got a rookie coming in and having to play this defense. I'm not saying the kid's going to be great. Just give these guys a chance and consider the context of how they're practicing and who they're practicing.
That's the nature of the reactionary media that we are a part of, Chris, and especially this time of the year where they're –
Not right now, we're not, Beau.
Yeah, not right now. We are level-headed and collected, calm, cool, and collected. But there is – up until, later today, there is no football that's been played. And it's just so funny to see, the media make these sweeping generalizations about players who haven't even had game time experience yet. And don't get me wrong, like the Hall of Fame game is not a fucking bullets flying football game, but it is a little bit more than practice. But to your point, Chris, like, let's just fucking hold our horses a little bit, wait and see. And, let's not write players off. Let's not say who's playing better than who. There's been like 6 practices of camp so far. All right.
This is we're in the aggregator era. So any video of a guy making a throw, not making a throw, we all know, like when you see ML football or Dov Kleiman or whoever Dov Kleiman sold his fucking account.
Is that even a fucking real person?
Barely it was. And now I don't know. But like, you've got these single throw sample sizes that you're seeing on air or in 7-on-7, and a caption is almost designed these days to get a response. Like you'll see a 30-yard duck from some quarterback, and ML football will be like, this bomb from, X quarterback, and people freak out because it's obviously not a bomb. That's how it's designed. This thing's designed to just keep the news going. And if I see another, and I love Justin Fields, and I think he's going to succeed at some point in his career, and it's probably going to be in Pittsburgh. But if I see another like Justin Fields avoids the sack with a free runner running by and patting him on the ass, like you just consider the context of what you're looking at. And if you don't know what to make of it, then than ask somebody, because these aren't real outcomes all the time.
This is how the news cycle always fucking goes in camp. It's so predictive. Like, oh, so-and-so isn't looking good as a rookie. Oh, this person's not playing well. And then I guarantee you next week, all the fucking media is going to be about fights at camp.
Remember Jamar Chase was going to suck?
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that, but Jamar Chase
all those balls in the preseason, right?
Jamar Chase was going to suck. Do you remember that?
Yeah. And now he's on the fucking NFL top 100.
Yeah.
And another thing specifically to the Patriots thing, they're both battling for the backup position. Jacoby Brissett is the number one guy anyway.
So. Yeah, and that's another thing is like, hey, these kids are going to have time, and I hope they both succeed. I think, I mean, the Joe Milton throw I just saw looked like a punt. I mean, he's got an arm on him, and I've heard the guy's like a jugs machine. So we'll see. I hope, because I'm a big Mayo fan, that they figure this thing out and he gets a chance.
Mm-hmm. News, not news, going to Philadelphia. The Eagles got out of team meetings yesterday thanks to CJ Gardner-Johnson.
That's all.
Hey, this is the biggest piece of media information to come out of Philadelphia in years. This is huge news. And I'll tell you why. Everyone listening at home, like, you don't understand how many goddamn meetings there are during camp and how fucking tired of it you get and how tired you fucking get of listening to your head coach speak. It is every fucking day. You've got team meetings left and right. So just a little bit of breakup in the monotony of meetings in camp is massive. You see the reaction of all the players at NovaCare when he fucking drained that wet ball from the back row. Like, that's fucking media worthy. Put that shit on SportsCenter top 10. I fucking love that. If I was in that meeting room, I'd be fucking thrilled.
This is the type of thing that gets people elected captain.
Yeah.
You know? It's to say Kobe as you drain a shot that saves these guys an hour and a half of their precious time. Yeah. Like a free hour. I don't even know how long this meeting was or, what was on the docket, but you have to consider the flip side of it, which is missing it and having to sit back down and watch shame.
Yeah.
So anyways,
Chris, imagine, like, I don't know what Sirianni does during these team meetings, but I've been part of meetings before where, like, if you fuck up during practice, you're getting flamed in front of the entire team.
Oh, imagine, if you know you got a bad
you're that guy and you're like, oh, I fucking jumped off sides on 3rd and 4, during team period in the final team period of the day. And you're just sitting there, it's going to come up during team meeting, and then this fucker gets up and drains that ball from the back, bro.
Please get us out. I got these cheeseburgers, man.
Yeah, I'm bringing you Popeyes the next day or whatever the fuck you want, bro. I'm getting your car detailed. I'm going to bring in some candy to the meeting room. Like, that's huge.
That's huge. It's a morale booster. It can lead to a good practice the next day. That's a huge shot from CJ Gardner-Johnson, the guy who said he fucking hates Philly and then left for a year. Was like, nah, I'm just fucking around. I'm back. He could be a top 100 player, honestly. He's
got my vote after that shot. Fuck.
Yeah.
News, not news, going out to San Francisco. We saw Brandon Aiyuk walking onto the field. There was a 37-second video. 10 seconds of it was him walking across the field. And then he dapped up John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan.
This is Brandon Aiyuk. This looks like a man who's headed to like Cleveland or something. Okay. He's got his hoodie completely cinched around his face.
Yeah.
He's not making a lot of eye contact with teammates. Not a lot of teammates like
just okay. Brand. Not great.
Posture's okay. Look at this dap. The dap is like, hey, what's up, man? Like, and then the guy turns away. There's no like, oh, thanks for signing that deal. This is the big one. Shanahan and him. That's a see you later dap. I think that's a see you later dap. I don't think that's a, hey, we got the deal done dap. I think that's a see you later. His center of gravity never
deal done dap is the big dap into the hug with the back pat. That's the deal done dap.
Yes, and other people come around and they're like, yo, dude,
like we
got it done.
Yeah, no, you're. I mean, you hear this phrase a lot around NFL locker rooms. First,
the guy threw the ball before he dapped him.
And if you look, I think that's John Lynch. It almost like he tries to pull him in a little closer for the hug, for the like goodbye hug.
Yeah.
And Brandon Aiyuk doesn't want to do it.
Yep.
So that almost kind of gives away. I'll play it back. It almost gives away that he's that there is no deal.
Yeah,
Listen,
if they would have rocked the hug a little bit, I think that
keeps
deal is
he
done.
keeps it as an arm distance.
Dude, I'm just saying, and here's one of the biggest. That's like a hey, thanks for everything, man. Like, thanks for coming back out and seeing us, and like, hey,
give it a shot,
have a good life.
If a guy signs a new deal, don't they give him a microphone?
Show me the money.
That's definitely not a new deal situation.
Yeah, no, that was first team all bad body language from Aiyuk there.
No, I hope we're wrong because I really enjoy the Niners, and it'd be fun to see him back there. But I don't know. I'm gonna tell you that's a bit of a zag because a bunch of people are celebrating. They're like, "Oh, he's back."
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, now going up to New York, news or no news, we've got Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson in what seemingly looked like them arguing on the sideline. Are they actually arguing? Are they talking through a play?
You said you were anti-establishment. I am anti-establishment.
Bro, I'm not vaccinated. I promise.
I'm back. Bro, you like the Fed? I'll end the Fed right now. Oh, you'll end the Fed? You won't end the Fed?
Bro, I told you I'm voting for Robert Kennedy Jr. I fucking told you, bro. I promise you I'm voting for Robert Kennedy Jr.
Okay, all right. So I just want to say this. Garrett Wilson looks cool as shit at practice. I said that earlier. He also talks like you can tell he's like one of these throwbacks where he'll come at run this back 10 seconds. Okay, and this is where I think it's important. Number one, this is not a fight. If anything, it's constructive. But you see Breece Hall's here, and look, what is Breece Hall saying to Garrett Wilson when the coach walks over? This is the part to me that makes me think that Garrett Wilson might be being animated and complaining about somebody else or something else because Breece is like, hey, calm down. You see that? When he taps his chest, he grabs him and he says, hey.
We got to get NFL bad lip syncing to do one of these.
You know what I'm saying, Beau? Because if it was an argument with Aaron Rodgers, after they've dapped up, Breece wouldn't be like, hey, chill out. I don't know what Breece is saying. I don't know their sign language, but I've had similar sign language situations where I'm like, hey, the coach that you're complaining about is coming over here.
Yeah, like, hey, hootie hoo, man. Hootie hoo.
Hootie hoo. I'm not saying – and also just in general, it's good to see these discussions between Rodgers and Wilson, who I think they're going to have a great year, these two. I think Rodgers still can sling the football, and Garrett Wilson deserves a lot more credit. We talked about in the top 100.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, Chris, I think all joking aside, how many times – dude, there have been times where I have been in full-blown screaming matches on the sideline in-game about guys who be like, I didn't get the fucking call. I did this, blah, blah, blah. And you're just – football's an emotional sport, man. This is a non-issue to me, not news at all. This is just people sorting shit out during camp. Until fists are flying, this ain't no fight. Daniel
Jones was asked a very interesting philosophical question by a Giants reporter.
Hey, Daniel.
Hey, Paul. How you doing?
Hey, good. How you doing?
Good.
I have a bit of a philosophical question, so I'm going to read this to you, and you can look at the picture as I ask this question. Do you
the picture's not helping
killing
me.
1 + 1 + 1 + 1 people, one person for every integer, resulting in infinite people dying? Or do you do nothing, allowing the trolley to kill 100 continuously reincarnating people? In both cases, there is infinite suffering, but in the top case, there is finite suffering for each infinite death, whereas there is infinite suffering with each finite death. What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I think you can get into trouble when you try to think too much about some of those things and how it all works out, and your antenna for maybe some of those dynamics and relationships. So, I'm just kind of focused on what I'm doing, and that's my rehab, getting healthy, spending time with the guys and making sure we're getting on the same page, having the best spring we can. So, I guess that'd be a better question for Joe and Dave's, but I'm focused on what I got.
This is fake. Guys, I think he got duped. I don't think that's a real question. I don't think he's really answering that question. Can you confirm that?
Love that, though. First of all, can we answer the question?
I'd love to answer the question, but I just want to get this. I want to get this out here right now. I think we, the people at this podcast, we, the people that inputted this into the doc got duped. I don't think this is real.
What you're saying is it's not news and it's also fake news. Literally.
I think it's fake news because although skirting the question and saying like, hey, that'd be a better question to ask like Joe and Brian would be funny, but like he doesn't even look thrown off. He just keeps
he
the
does
wide
kind of have those
like,
eyes where he's like kind of looking around like this. But no, like that's great. He's just like, why don't you ask my GM and head coach about infinite suffering? They know better than me.
Guys,
I think it's a video fake. Yeah,
I think it's a fake. Right. Let's answer the question.
I would love to, Chris.
And can you reframe the question for people at home that might not have heard it correctly or don't understand it?
Yes. Podcast genius Beau Allen at your service here. I finished my degree in marketing and management from UW in 15 years. So pretty smart guy. Anyway, basically what the reporters
degree haver.
Yeah, big degree guy. College boy. This is a take on the classic, philosophy question. It's the railroad question, right? So like there's a fucking trolley car on some tracks that's going to kill, someone that you love. Do you divert it to kill a random person? But instead it's a take on like infinite suffering, like they said in the video. Okay. So what it's saying is, do you divert the car so it kills an infinite number of people one time, or do you leave it on the track so it kills 100 people an infinite amount of times? And I think the answer is pretty simple, Chris. You got to leave it on the track because it results in less deaths. If you fucking pull that switch, then you're going to kill an infinite number of people. Whereas if you do not and you leave it on the track, it's just going to kill 100 people.
But once 100 people are dead, they're dead, Bo.
No, they get reincarnated in this scenario.
This
Chris.
is stupid.
Yeah.
I love this thought exercise. Let's get philosophical on the pod, baby. We got our shirts off.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. People are going to die, right? That's life. And some people are going to die as a result of mechanical injury or some, statistical anomaly happening to them, a fucking suitcase flying out of a 747. You let nature run its course. In this circumstance, you leave the car barreling down the track to kill an infinite amount of people or unknown amount of people, right? One time. No one should be born into this world getting perpetually run over by a train. Like and I don't care if it's only 100, because if you choose this fucking option, there's still going to be cancer. There's still going to be fucking all escalator accidents. There's still going to be fucking people getting crushed under elevators and syphilis that persists so long people's brains rot. Like there's terrible things that are going to happen. Look at Donald Trump. All right. There's still bad things that are going to happen. So you're not solving the world's problem by killing 100 people over and over again with this train.
We got a little deep here. I didn't know we were doing a syphilis pod today.
We're always doing a syphilis pod when you're on.
Oh, nice. Got my
I was going to flick you between the eyes. Matt, do you agree with me? I saw you nodding your head. Do you agree? Or do you disagree?
I think I agree. Nobody should wake up into an experience of getting mauled by a train.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah. Ugh.
Oh, you're a fucking. That's a red flag, bro.
It's less overall suffering, dude. It's an infinite amount of deaths the other way.
But it's not true. It's not true because it's not less overall suffering.
It's not less overall suffering. It's just less overall loss of life.
Not when you consider the fact that losing your life in this scenario can be undone, and then you can lose your life again. It's a tremendous amount of suffering, Bo.
A lot of suffering. It's like fall camp personified.
You're a Nazi.
Going to Colorado, heading to college. In training camp, we saw the Buffaloes added their social media handles, each player's social media handles on the back of their practice jerseys. So in these videos and clips, you see quarterback Shedeur Sanders at Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, you know what? This is fucking stupid, and I'm just not afraid to say it. Listen, and this is where things are going. And if I'm the old man yelling at the cloud, so be it. Whether it was Shedeur Sanders or fucking PJ Fleck, who we'll talk about here in a second, like college football is just getting kind of wild. But here's the thing I don't like. It kind of feels like, and as much as I love Colorado, and you guys know I've been supportive of Deion since the beginning, and the haters are the haters. But I will tell you this, it does feel like Colorado operates with this tinge of like, if you criticize us, we'll say you're hating.
Every team that plays them, it's the Super Bowl every week, Chris.
Right. It's not true, dude, anymore. You actually have to win to assume that title. I don't think the ratings are going to go as hard this year when Colorado plays. I hope they're very good because I enjoy watching what he's building.
Yeah.
But like some things like this thing, like you can't expect me to be like, oh, fucking cool. This shit's lame, dude.
Lame as fuck.
It's lame. I'm sitting here thinking about how I don't let my kids on social media.
Yeah.
It's a constant reminder that the brand is important. And I've always been anti-brand. I'm pro be yourself. And I guess maybe you could argue that like, hey, if you see my social media, that's me. But it does feel kind of contrived.
It's so dumb, dude. Like worry about jogging over to 9-on-7 during camp, you know? Not
he would argue that I am worried about it. I just got my social media handle on my back.
Bro, you know these guys are fucking trying to figure out the perfect angles so that they can get the photos with the fucking social media handle on back. Dude, it bothers me. I don't know why. Like, you know what they do in like a lot of fall camps in the NFL is like if you're a rookie, they don't even put your name on the back of your jersey. Like when I was in New England, they give the rookies trash numbers. You know what I mean? Now we got in college guys with social media handles on the back of their jerseys. It's just fucking lame,
dude. It's gonna make things harder on NFL locker rooms and culture and coaches when these guys are coming up like, bro, I had my fucking social media tag on my back and you're not letting me untuck my shirt.
Bro, I got 100,000 followers, bro. I'm not carrying your shoulder pads.
I would like to have seen your handle, Butter King, one on each butt cheek.
Well, that's good branding. You know,
yeah.
What I mean? It would just be, you know, the girls have the Juicy Couture like velour pants where it says Juicy on the cheeks. Mine would just be Butter on the cheeks.
Okay, I just thought of some. You're pretty funny with that fucking comment, but I thought of something while you were saying it. And here's what I thought of. What's going to stop these players from putting other advertisements on their jerseys?
Oh, yeah. Like if you're real smart, like
if I want to get Hooters to pay me $1 million and I put Hooters, coach, is that okay? No, that's not okay. Yeah. Well, what's the difference? Why is it not okay? Like the point of putting is so that I can profit and my brand can profit. What if I just want to make money? It's not about my brand. And I want to put Hooters or Kinko's on my.
I'll put my OnlyFans handle on the back of my jersey.
Yeah, what if a guy wants to put his OF on there and he's doing weird glory hole shit?
No, here's 40 tests. Like, hey, if you're Travis Hunter, who's the guy that had the cheap shot on him last year?
Like,
put his handle on Colorado the back of your jersey.
Yeah. That's some real
40 chest
shit.
We are in Nebraska now with quarterback Dylan Raiola. He showed up to camp looking exactly like Patrick Mahomes. He's got the glasses. He's got the haircut. He's got the facial hair. He said he wants to mimic and copy everything Mahomes does. They train with the same coach. They're friendly. Is this news or not news?
It's kind of news. Because yesterday I saw this picture and I scrolled past it, and in my brain it was like, oh, there's Mahomes. And then I just didn't even think about it. Like, even when I found out that it wasn't Mahomes, I just was kind of like, oh, I didn't even think anything about it. And then once you realize it's actually a good player and the son of a guy who used to be a dog at center.
That dude was a fucking pain in the ass, bro.
He was an asshole.
Yeah,
and I got nothing against the guy. That was his job. Like, yeah. But it's so funny that he's made this super skilled quarterback. And what's crazier is that the guy has perfectly modeled himself after Patrick Mahomes.
I want to hear an audio clip of what this dude sounds like, though, because you hear Mahomes talk and it's very distinct. He's got that distinct voice. You know what I mean? I'm wondering if he's modeling his his voice after Mahomes as well.
That'll only be two packs of American spirits a day for the next 10 years.
Seriously.
If you want to sound like Mahomes, and I don't think he rips any cigs, but he's just got that voice. Did you see the Raiders, like dumbasses, were passing around a Kermit the Frog Mahomes jersey puppet, and they were making fun of his voice. And then, like, less than 24 hours later, they're like, "Hey, Patrick, did you see this thing?" And he's like, "It'll get handled when it'll get handled." I was like, "Oh, fuck, it's getting handled."
Yeah, it's going to get handled.
Some poor – you know what's fucked up is, like, somebody will do that shit, and I don't know who was doing that shit, but it's probably like a DB who won't even be there when they get trounced.
Yeah.
Yes.
It'll be like November, and they'll be like, "What the fuck was that kid doing?" He's on, like, the Commanders practice squad. He's, like, watching the game. He's like, "Oh, that's my fault." Anyways.
Here's an interview with Dylan Raiola.
I think the biggest thing is just catching up to the speed of the game. Players are moving faster. The level of competition is a lot better.
No, that ain't Mahomes. Yeah.
He's got to work on that.
He's got a ways to go. We got to get him some linguistic coaching.
Oh, we just got to get him some ciggies. Let's end the show with our favorite guy.
What would you
Come on, everybody, get out! Get out! Get out! Get out!
All right, perfect. Next one is just for like something like that.
Why are you so quiet? I gotta be over here! I gotta be over here!
Perfect.
Oh my God, bro! I would rather be on the trolley train, dying infinite amount of times, than in a room with PJ Fleck watching this shit being recorded. Oh my God, this is like his fucking Super Bowl, bro. I've never ever seen a head coach like care more about media attention and bro, I can't. It's hard to watch. It like hurts me inside.
Do they have the golden axe right now?
It's not the golden axe. It's Paul Bunyan's axe.
Do they have Paul Bunyan's axe?
I don't want to fucking talk about it. Chris.
Oh, that guy has Paul Bunyan's axe.
No, I think Wisconsin has it. Wisconsin won 28-14 last year.
Yeah, we won 28-14, but they've gotten it over over the last couple of years. They've gotten it, and it fucking bothers me. I do not like PJ Fleck.
Why don't I hear you?
You know, Chris, when they you do the media stuff, like I signed in New England and I went, they were trying to get me to do that kind of stuff. I was like,
oh yeah,
you guys got the wrong fucking guy.
Now pump the crowd up. The worst is they'll have these like artistic types come in who I have nothing against, but this is football. So they don't really know like the stances and like the things that we would do. And they're like, now do a Superman stance. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Or get down low and get ready to tackle somebody. Or
I had one guy. He's like, now do your sack celebration. I'm like, motherfucker, I got 2 career sacks. My ass is on the bench on third down. What the fuck are you talking about?
Do you want to help me decide what it is?
Yeah, you tell me what it is, bro.
Honestly, it's a red flag. The guys that are really good at that is a red flag.
Agreed. That's such a good point. Yes, Chris. 100%. But it looked like PJ Fleck was loving every single second of that, which I just cannot stand. I don't like it.
It's college football, man.
The kids call that cringe, Chris.
The kids call it cringe.
That shit was mid, fam.
You know who's not mid? You know who's not mid? DJ Moore.
Not mid at all. Not
mid. Far from it. He's been a baller since he was in Carolina playing for Matt Rule. Now he's free.
Dude. DJ Moore's based, fam.
He's based, and he's going to be joining us. You're kind of based with some of your takes today. The base god Beau.
Base god.
BGB.
Based pod. Based god.